Hello and welcome, Xbox Nation, to the pop-up podcast that I decided to do because we originally were going to be talking about how Microsoft and Xbox quietly and politely have officially cornered the Western RPG market, and it turns out that we have breaking news to open the show. I originally was going to do this myself. I wasn't sure if I was able to find anybody because it was, again, a pop-up type podcast. But I have not one, not two, but three incredible community members that have a lot to say about what happened today and what could potentially happen in the future. So let's get into the introductions. And I want to start first with Mav. Now, he runs a channel called Fun Speculation, and it is a show that not only is done with class, not only done with professionalism, but it's done with community in mind. And I say that because I want more people to check out the Ultimate Xbox podcast. He does it not only with himself. His wife is a part of it. He obviously Pang So, who's a part of this program, is a part of it. 3-Bit, who is on Thursday's Xbox Factor podcast, and their newest member, Psychonauts8, who has been in the community for quite some time. Mav, welcome to the program, and tell everyone about the Ultimate Xbox podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Boom. I appreciate that, man. It's first off, thank you again for reaching out to me and saying, "Hey, Mav, what are you doing?" If I'm available, I am here for you, dude, because I freaking love your shows.
Thanks, dude.
And so Xbox Ultimate is on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern on the Fun Speculation YouTube channel. And like Boom said, we got Pong Soul here, who's been amazing. How long have we been doing that together now, Pong?
Probably, 2 months, 3 months?
Yeah,
3 months now?
3 months. Yeah, we're on episode 33 this Friday, but the first 15 episodes I was just talking to myself
in a closet.
that was interesting. But hey, we have a lot of fun. We just try and keep it positive. You can catch silly stuff like this past week. I made fun of 3-Bit in the middle of the show, and that was great. We just have a great time. Anybody that wants to come over and check it out, again, it's on the Fun Speculation YouTube channel. You can follow me on Twitter at Fun Speculation, and you can get updates and stuff like that. I appreciate Boom giving me the chance to shout it out as well. Check it out, guys. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you, and you do run a great program. Certainly one, as an Xbox community, one of the things we're always looking for are a place where positivity reigns supreme. And I think that, unfortunately, the kind of culture that YouTube has turned into has been about negativity and how it drives views, it drives clicks, and again, my channel is small, but at the same time is big enough that I could go out of my way to help smaller channels get noticed that I believe deserve it. And you're certainly one of those channels that definitely need more subscribers, simply because you push community, you push positivity, and we need more of that for sure. But next up, your panel member, and I call him the rookie sensation, the one that has been really just exploding on the scene in regards to not only having incredible opinions, but doing it in a way that he makes people stop and listen. Pong Soul, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Boom. Good morning, chat. Thank you all for coming out today. This is fantastic. I'm so glad my brother from another Mav could join us today. And obviously, it is awesome to always get on a show with Mojo. So this is great. It just so happened to be a day where a snowstorm is kind of rolling in. So I decided I was going to work from home, and all of a sudden I got Boom in my DMs again. And I'm like, absolutely, I'm going to come on here and talk about this exciting time. Because again, like you said, Boom, there's too much negativity out there. We got to celebrate what is going to be is already the start of the golden age of gaming, and we're seeing it. So I can't wait to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for being here. And someone that just DM'd me minutes before we went live, he's been on this show before. As a matter of fact, he usually shows up during these breaking news segments. Please welcome the very boisterous and opinionated Mojo Blues. Welcome to the program, dude.
Hey guys, glad to be here. It's a wondrous Monday. I mean, after all the news last week, excuse me. I mean, that was like some of the biggest news in the history of gaming. You would have thought they would have been like a hole for 2 months without hearing anything. And it's literally the Monday of the next week, and we get bombs dropping. It's wonderful.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you being here, brother. Thank you so much. I sent a message to Zemi Games. He might be unconscious after our incredible match that we had with Xbot and his team from the next podcast. We were the victors last night during the Halo tournament. We have moved on to take on Green Pass Gaming this upcoming weekend. And I heard those guys are pretty good, but my team is also, even the old man here was able to come off with a couple of double-digit rounds, which, again, I'm not the best Halo player, but I do like to say that I'm worthy enough to be on the team, even though it's under the Double Barrel Gaming podcast. But yeah, so maybe he'll join us as well. But listen, folks, let's get right into it. The breaking news of the day. This came to us again. It's just another manic Monday, and here we go. We have word from, of course, Aaron Greenberg, who simply put on his Twitter account, which of course exploded on the scene, great news, Xbox Game Pass members. And he confirmed at 11:09 a.m. today, Outriders is coming to Xbox Game Pass day one. And this is according to the Newswire, the Xbox Wire, on news.xbox.com. This is a big deal. Now, I know that there are a lot of people that did not, love the demo, but folks, understand that this is probably one of the biggest games to come out in 2021. I mean, we're only in the first quarter of the year, and Outriders was expected to be one of those games that people were going to continue to play, like a Destiny, right? Like many of these, looter shooters, if you will. I happened to find the demo to be exhilarating. I loved every minute of it. I mean, listen, you've heard me say this. I thought the facial animations weren't the greatest, but I loved the moment-to-moment combat. I loved the gameplay. I didn't get too much into the demo because I didn't want to get the same feeling I had with Destiny. Like when Destiny 1 came out and the demo became available, I ran through all three classes and maxed out the level. I believe it was 7 you can go up to. And when the game finally came out, I was kind of like, felt like I was walking through the mud for the first couple of hours. So I didn't want to do that for Outriders. Like I wanted to really experience it. So I got a taste. I loved it. I was rated. I was day one buyer. And guess what, folks? I don't have to buy it because I'm paid up until the end of 2022 for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. And we're going to start first with Pong Soul on this. Pong Soul, how big of a deal is this for Xbox, its fans, and more importantly, in my opinion, the greatest service since sliced bread, Xbox Game Pass?
Oh, it's absolutely gigantic. Whether you loved or hated the demo, and it kind of was a polarizing demo, you can't deny that there's something there with this game. And as we were talking about in the green room, Boom, this is probably one of the biggest releases of 2021 already, if not the biggest one so far. And when you get a game that's being published by Square Enix, which we know the history between Microsoft and Square Enix isn't the best, obviously with the Final Fantasy series, being predominantly on Sony and them dragging their feet on a lot of different games when it comes to bringing them over to Xbox, and obviously Sony purchasing exclusivity. This is a huge get. You can't look at it any other way. This is a huge get from the standpoint of Game Pass, because it's a brand new game, a brand new IP from a respected developer in People Can Fly, and it's going day and date into Game Pass, and it's not a first party. That is a huge deal. It's going to draw more people in. It's added value to Game Pass. I'm not talking about that it's going to pull in millions of new subscribers, but what I'm saying is that when people start to look at Game Pass or start researching it, they're going to see that something this big dropped day and date. And what that means for the future, we can see that this could be the start of a trend where more and more publishers outside of just Microsoft and their inner circle of partners that they work with all the time may start coming in. sooner rather than later. They're not going
Yeah.
to necessarily wait for these games to, completely sell through or get to the point where they said, okay, we've made most of the sales. Now we'll drop it into Game Pass. This means that Game Pass is starting to show influence on the industry already. And we're not even close to peak here. So this is a big moment for Xbox. This is a big moment for People Can Fly. So we can look at the relationship that People Can Fly has had with Microsoft, obviously working on Gears Judgment. And again, you can have your opinion of Gears of War Judgment, but at the same time, it still was one of the pillar franchises for Microsoft. They entrusted People Can Fly, and personally, I think they did a pretty good job with it. Was it up to with the other ones from Coalition? No. But was it a very good story? Absolutely. So I think this is huge for People Can Fly, because this game, even though it's not a games of service, and we need to continue to make that clear, as they have, this is not a games of service. This is still a game that has been designed to be played with other people. You can do it solo. It's a solo RPG if you want to run through it. But at the same time, the core mechanics of this game, when you're trying out the demo, and I hope everybody's had a chance, is that you can see that it's meant to be played with a group of people, because you can combine your abilities, and that's when things get really fun and interesting. So what you're going to do with putting this into Game Pass is all of a sudden you've got 18, 20, whatever we're at now, probably closer to 21, 22 million people in Game Pass. They're going to have access to this game out the gate, and it is cross-play, so that adds more, but you're going to have a lot of people. You're going to have a nice player base to start out with that may keep this game, again, going in the long term, because I think they do have future plans for expansions. Again, not a games of service type style, but they probably have plans down the road that they would like to expand this world out. It's a new IP. I know people have had problems with the cutscenes, so some people can't even get through them, but the story is there. Is it fully fleshed out? No, but I can't wait to see what the full game gives us. And then if you want to go down, the conspiracy road, as we were talking about. Now, People Can Fly, I did confirm, is a publicly traded company, okay? So any deal that was done would have had to have been announced just due to the laws. However, this may indicate that there are some talks going on in the background.
Yeah.
So, keep your eyes on that. There's been rumors. Phil and everybody has talked about they were interested in getting a studio from Poland in the past, and that's where People Can Fly is located. So this could indicate that there's a little something more underneath. So that's going to be something to look forward to. And just from a gamer standpoint, again, anybody who owns Game Pass, Game Pass or Game Pass Ultimate, Microsoft is, once again, if we have not been shown by a $7.5 billion deal, this just shows us more and more how committed they are to doing this. They dropped a bag of money off to Square Enix and said, we would like your game in our service day and date. What's it going to take? And they got it done. And again, commitment to us as gamers and making Game Pass the platform, and I'm going to call it a platform because technically at this point that's what it is. Game Pass, the platform where everybody needs to come over and play at. They want to make this so that you cannot ignore it anymore. And that goes for gamers, and that goes for publishers and developers as well. And that's what we're seeing with a deal like this. And I can't be more excited, Boom.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. First of all, well said, and I absolutely agree with everything. I think that this is the start of something special. I think that you are on to something when you said that publishers are now starting to see the dominance of what Xbox Game Pass can do to their game. And you know what? Microsoft is in the business of dropping off these large bags of money because they want people to invest in their platform. And the best way you can have people do that is to put games in there that they don't have to necessarily buy. And when you look at the world the way it is, where people are counting pennies, and for good reason. I mean, the economic damage that was done by this pandemic is going to be felt for years to come. And man, and I'm not saying that this is something Microsoft wanted. Nobody wanted that, but they were already in the business of trying to offer the best bang for your buck. And here is another example of that coming to fruition. First of all, I got to welcome in Everborn Saga. Hey, dude, not only are you here today, you're going to be back tonight for Primetime Gaming. I had no idea you wanted to jump on. Welcome to the program.
You're goddamn right I'm here. How's everybody doing?
Everborn, you're addicted, man. You're addicted to podcasting, man, just like me.
Yeah, man. When I saw the topics, I said I got a few minutes here with the meeting set up. I got to jump in and talk about this. But Pong, I agree. You are right, man. It's starting to feel like the fight is fixed. I'm telling you, man. Like it's not even fair anymore with this Game Pass thing. You guys go ahead. I'm here, but wow, and the funny thing is, I played Outriders like the demo for the first time last night. You know what it reminds me of, and people have probably said this already. It's kind of like Gears, but more agile, right? Because when you play Gears, and it's sort of very clunky because that's the armor that the cogs wear. This is kind of like you can move around anymore, and I do get people's complaints about the cutscenes because they're 30 frames a second. I don't know. I think that's something that can easily be fixed. Maybe it's fixed before they launch it.
Well, it should say this too, Everborn, is that People Can Fly have been doing patches after patches during the demo, almost like every few days they release another patch. So they're really trying to work on this stuff.
So let me ask you a question. What character class did you guys choose? I chose Trickster.
Yeah,
same.
Trickster and Technomancer.
Okay.
I did both.
Okay.
Yeah, I did Technomancer. I like those setting everybody on fire.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I heard everyone say Trickster's the way to go, but then I played with somebody. There's like a random person on my team, and they were setting people on fire, and I was just slowing people down, and I was kind of jealous. I wanted to burn people, so I might have to create a new character. I don't know.
Well, listen, it's great. How long do we have you for?
I'm good.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to make sure because obviously I want to go to Mav next on this one. Mav, look, here's the thing. We were talking in the green room before we went live, and we all come to the understanding that what Microsoft is doing is not only unheard of, not only is it just unbelievable. But this, I mean, again, you just take another Monday that's supposed to be la. Everyone hates Mondays. I actually look forward to them now, thanks to Xbox, because my God, some of their biggest news has come out on a press release. I mean, this is just I don't even know how to put this into words, Mav. Microsoft has been doing so much in the last couple of months that this comes off. This is big news. Having a game like Outriders, one of the biggest games released so far in 2021, just pop out as an Xbox wire and tweet from Aaron Greenberg tells me that they are just so used to this that they just knew we were going to go crazy. For you, how big of a deal is this for Microsoft?
I think it's a huge deal. First off, I want to say thank you to them for my wallet, because they just saved me $60 I was planning on spending. So thank you for that. But besides that, I mean, it's a huge deal, and not just for Microsoft, but gaming, period, because this is the first of many, I think.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
This is a landmark moment right here. Now, we've had games from third-party publishers and developers hit Game Pass day one before. But they're games like Carry On, Spiritfarer, smaller indie type games, right? This is a new IP from a AAA publishing by Square Enix with People Can Fly. I mean, this is a big investment for them. This is a big deal. This is a AAA game they're trying to push as a new IP. And to go into Game Pass day one, it's never happened before. It's never happened with gaming in a subscription service like that, unless you count like GameFly. That's a different thing, right? This is launching. This is like Netflix getting or HBO Max getting like the movies from day one, right?
Yeah.
Like as release. This is like a landmark moment, right? And it's gonna kick off something that's gonna continue and continue. They didn't have to do this. They're doing it to improve the service and to draw more people in here. People are already saying the Game Pass is amazing. People are already sold on it. People are already preaching it to the world, saying, hey, everybody's got to sign up for Game Pass. It's incredible. And to go out there and get us third-party published AAA games day one, that's just amazing. Yeah. And it's going to continue. I can't wait to see what's next. And like you said with the Mondays, being excited for Mondays news now. Like, I remember last year how we didn't have an E3 and everybody's complaining, but instead we got like this weekly news and everybody just kept waiting for Monday. It was like just waiting. Well, hey, what's going to happen next Monday? What's going to happen next Monday? And then we had a couple of months lay off around Christmas and in January and stuff. Now it's back to that, it seems like. Last week with the Bethesda stuff. This week now with Outriders. Like, is this going to continue? Like, what's next? Because if Square Enix is on board, who else?
That's a great question. And you know what's crazy? We're going to be talking about this on the Xbox, the Xbox 101 podcast on Tuesday. And we have word from several prominent people within the industry. Of course, we're talking about Jez Corden of Windows Central, who posted an article on Friday about the March 26th Xbox event that's happening. It's basically confirmed. Like I said, we're still waiting, but Jez Corden has it on good authority, and he got that from Paul Thurrott of Thurrott.com, and everyone has corroborated that something is happening on Friday, the 26th, which is incredible. Now, what's even more insane, and I'm going to go to Mojo Blues on this. Mav, you kind of really segued into something special here.
Hey, just one thing really quick, Boom.
Sure.
How long before people start trying to say Outriders is a AA game now?
It's already happening. It's already happening. Yeah, it's already happening, and it's the fact that anyone would even suggest it is just hogwash. But To Mav's point about what happened on Thursday, which was, of course, was the Xbox Bethesda roundtable, is actually what happened Friday that was even bigger news. And the fact that they dropped 20 Bethesda games into Xbox Game Pass, and now we have Outriders on top of that. Mojo Blues, can it get any better?
I don't see how possible, but listen, you just mentioned those Bethesda games they just dropped. If people haven't played it, you better be downloading Prey, because I'm telling you, it was a top 5 game last gen.
Yeah,
it was right up there with God of War, Spider-Man, Gears 5. I'm just telling you.
It's getting that FPS boost too, guys.
And they just dropped that news. Yeah, the 5 games getting FPS boost. Yeah, like I said, we only have so much time and only so much on the plate. But we're going to talk about that tomorrow for sure.
Let's get back to the main first topic here, and that from the old guy's take, when the levee breaks. The one that little Led Zeppelin record. God, I'm old. But we've all been speculating what would be that first big third-party AAA game that showed up, and there's been other titles that were like, will this happen? Will it happen? And then it didn't. Well, it's happened now. And now that it's happened, the dam's going to come busting open, and you're going to see more and more. And I think over the summer, there's going to be a lot of information get dropped about how well some no-name games have been doing, some as well as big giant name games have been doing in Game Pass. And this will be one of the things you'll hear about, how well Outriders does, and it's going to get another big third-party game, which will again get another one, and this is going to snowball. This is crazy, but I don't see how it can get even better. I mean, they just dropped 20 bangers in the Game Pass, and then now getting a gigantic third-party game day one.
Well, yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. It's incredible. It really is. The value proposition for $15 a month, like even if a year from now they raise it like to $17 or even to $18 to $20, Could we act logistically complain? The answer is no. You really couldn't, because the value just alone of the 23 first-party studios and the 35 teams making these games, dropping into Game Pass. Now, on top of that, you have all of these second-party deals. And again, this is what we were talking about in the green room, folks, and I'm going to get to Everborn right now. We still have on deck games like Scorn, games like The Ascent. And again, maybe not every game is on your radar. Maybe not every game is for every gamer. I say that all the time. But if you think about what, like for instance, and again, I don't want to go too far off the path here, because we can really go down a deep rabbit hole. Me and Pongso were talking about how this fall, and again, this is complete speculation, right? We don't know what Nintendo is doing. They're rumored to be doing, of course, walking to their own drum, releasing a console and Breath of the Wild 2. That's what I think is happening for Nintendo. Sony is a conundrum. Like, we don't know how badly this pandemic hurt the development team making Horizon the Forbidden West. Like, does that even hit in 2021? I honestly don't know. But what I think is going to hit for Microsoft in 2021, and this is what Pong Sol and I were talking about even before Mav, Mojo, and Everborn got here, is their fall could potentially, September, October, November, look like this. You would get, obviously, Starfield, either September or October. You would get Forza Horizon 5 in either September or October. And November, you get Halo Infinite. Holy shit. Talk about bangers. Talk about changing the narrative. And guess what? Every one of those games in Xbox Game Pass. I mean...
Yeah. Boom. Real quick. Just think about it. If you had any inkling that you were going to buy Outriders... That game alone covers 4 months worth of Game Pass Ultimate. That one game alone, 1/3 of the year of you're already paid up. I mean, that's it. Not talking about the 300 plus other games and everything else coming. It's insane value.
Yeah, it doesn't even seem like it's a thing. Like, how you say to yourself, how can they do this? Well, they could do that with 20 million subscribers. Now, the question that came out on Friday's incredible Breakfast with Boom with King David was, how could Microsoft afford this, right? Like could they see an increase in Game Pass subs just based on Thursday's news, right? So you kind of like start putting the breadcrumbs down. Right, you say, okay, we had them officially announce 18 million. I think that they were closer to 20 based on the information that was given to me. Fine, whatever. But since hitting 20 million, could we say that it's possible that, based on the fact that they announced Bethesda as first party and then the next day dropped 20 games into Xbox Game Pass, some of which are the biggest in gaming's history, there for you to play, and then on Monday, literally 3 days later, they say the biggest game of 2021 so far. Guess what, folks? April 1st, day and date, it's in there for you if you have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. I think that in those 3 or 4 days, they could have seen 1 to 2 to even 3 million people subscribe to the service, because how big can it get before you have to acknowledge its existence? Everborn, let's get to you on this. This is a big deal. I think that it's safe to say that people's interest for Outriders was through the roof. Now, again, they have been doing patch after patch after patch, and they want to make this game right. I think this is going to be something special. What are your thoughts on this coming into Game Pass day one and just being dropped in a tweet?
See, this is the thing, right? Like, I'm just thinking about how Outriders was literally the talk of the entire gaming community. You know how many people did live streams for Outriders?
Yeah,
like it is
tons of them.
The #1 game coming out at least right now, right? If it's coming out April 1st, that's the #1 game across all consoles, right? And it's right there in Game Pass. And again, we just got the Bethesda news. about the deal closing and then the exclusivity last week, there is no room to even catch your breath.
Yeah.
And again, I think people need to understand this is a war of attrition, right? And everyone talks about sort of Sony's mind share, which is well deserved, and that's great. But every week it's just an inch forward and an inch forward and an inch forward, and before you know it, right, it's going to be near impossible to sort of find fault with what's going on the Microsoft side of things. Now, I think that yes, this is just the beginning, and we are going to get to this sort of economy of scale. And I know several people brought this up. We're going to get to a place where Game Pass for third-party publishers may be unavoidable, right?
Yes.
It will be so large that if you don't have it in there, you'll be losing money.
Especially for new IP too, Everborn, because the chance for new players to play a new IP, it's always been a hurdle, right? You put it in 100%. Game Pass, it gets more discoverability. You
will have millions of players on day one, right? And and when you have those millions of players, doing microtransactions plus the money that you're getting for being in the service in the first place, I think the business model of gaming, of publishing games in general, is changing. Now, let me ask you another question. Does this mean that Xbox has the marketing rights for Outriders?
I believe that they do. I thought that even before this was announced that they had the marketing rights for it.
Interesting. So now here's the other question. What is now on the table after this? Does this, if this means, because I thought the Square Enix relationship was completely sour, right? Just because of Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Well, you remember
they change now?
They had the Tomb Raider games were timed exclusives. Right?
They had that, but how long ago was that, right?
Yeah.
And so recently, when we talk about Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on with that relationship? Could there be more things on the horizon?
Yeah, personally, Everborn, for me, I think it means that Square Enix is up for sale. They're willing to make deals with whoever for and I think Sony was willing to pay a lot more for Final Fantasy. But if for Xbox, for me, I think that they're just looking at it like, hey, we can get games on Game Pass and we don't have to pay for full exclusivity because, hey, Outriders kind of feels like an exclusive in a way right now.
I mean,
you know what I mean? Because hey, on one platform, it's like
free versus 70. That's what sounds like.
Well, that something. That's a great point, Everborn. And again, this is where I think we're going to start seeing a turn of the tides. I think Microsoft has positioned the Xbox platform to be that went from a never was to you cannot deny. You have to look. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you like I don't want to use this, like someone gets hurt. Like in football, right? Someone blows out a knee. I always turn away because I blew out a knee, so I understand the pain. I understand. So I never look. But there are some people that cover their face and they leave a little bit open for their one eye to peek out of. You know what I'm saying? They're fake covering. I think the industry as a whole, and this goes for the mainstream media, I think, look, we saw basically IGN, here's a perfect example of really take it on the chin with how they were basically really forging that Bethesda games were going to end up on all platforms because Microsoft had to do the right thing. They had to be the good guy of the industry, and they had to put out Elder Scrolls on PlayStation 5 because that's just the way it has to be. Unfortunately, they, along with a lot of people, got egg on the face. I think Phil was very, very clear. But there comes a point where if you are a PlayStation owner right now, if that is your only place that you play. You bought a PlayStation 4, you're enjoying it. There's a lot to enjoy. Let's not fake the funk here. They have an incredible lineup, even more so if you bought a PlayStation 5. That PlayStation 5 game lineup is ridiculously good. There are a lot of games in there. Perfect example of who's enjoying it, Zemi Games. My co-host on both the Xbox One-on-One and Xbox Factor podcast each and every week has been really going to town with his PlayStation Plus membership because he's getting the chance to play a lot of games that he missed out on. And he's getting full value for that $60 a year that he spent. Me, I bought 2 years for that.
Boom, can I add on to that? Like
Sure.
Right now, like this, I played a bunch of Bethesda games this weekend. I'm saving that to talk about for tonight's show, but I also played God of War 2018 for the first time really this weekend, and that was included in PlayStation Plus, right? Days Gone is in there, and
yes,
you don't have to pay for it.
Right.
So I think the difference is, and I want to save some of this fire for tonight, but the difference is the day and date aspect of it, right? So if I don't know what, I'll save it for tonight because that's kind of what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah. No, we're definitely going to get into it tonight. Yes, save that for tonight's thing. But look, I'll put it this way: in closing for this topic, and of course, we're going to have to go to another breaking news because again, it just cannot be denied. Thanks to Pong So who dropped it into the chat. My God, I mean, is there too much news? Is there too much good Xbox news, chat? First of all, we're closing in on 600 people for a pop-up show. I'm honored. I'm more humbled than you folks even understand. I haven't had a chance to, welcome in everyone. It's one of my things that I do. I try to at least acknowledge that you're in the chat. It is just so much is happening right now that I normally have my shit together, and it's just it's like confetti falling all over the place. I don't even know where to look. So if I don't reach out to you personally, I want to thank the near 600 people that are here. This is a small channel, folks. We only have 7,700 subs. We're on the march to 10K, and a lot of big things are happening for Double Barrel Gaming. I got 4 brand new designs for t-shirts. I've teamed up with Teespring. I'm going to be launching that campaign as soon as Dinero Pinero is done with the design. He's currently working on a new intro for Primetime Gaming. And of course, at the last but not least, he's going to potentially do another one for Breakfast with Boom. Again, if you don't know who Dinero Pinero is, he is one of the highest class artists that I know. His work you saw the opening for Xbox One-on-One. You've seen it for the Xbox Factor podcast. His work cannot be denied. And if you are someone looking for this kind of craftsmanship, you definitely got to reach out to Dinero Pinero on Twitter. Tell him that Boom sent you for sure. But listen, in closing, this Outriders deal is, I think, just the start of it. I think that when Microsoft and Phil Spencer specifically said that they have a bunch of surprises coming in 2021, I thought personally that he meant more than just first-party bangers. I think we're going to see Game Pass really move into the limelight. And getting back to, before I lose my chain of thought, if you're a PlayStation-only player, let's say that is where you go to. Let's say, for instance, you were an Xbox 360 fan and you left because, they took a dump in the pool, Microsoft back in 2013, and you haven't been back yet. I think this Xbox Game Pass situation is becoming so big that you just can no longer deny it. And if you're on the PlayStation side right now and you're looking at your wallet and you say, okay, Outriders, I really enjoyed this. This is right up my alley. It's right what I really want. I love everything about it. But buying that game on the PlayStation 5 is going to cost you here in the US $77 with tax. You know what it's going to cost you if you're an Xbox fan or potential Xbox customer? Nothing. except your $15 a month subscription, which is peanuts compared to something like HD movies on Netflix, which is a 21 and change now. So just weigh the values. I think that this is the shot across the bow to the industry, and I think that Microsoft is walking silently and carrying a very big pimp stick, if I may say so. But I do want to get to, and again, I didn't expect this to be, the kind of show that it's turning out to be. Folks, FYI, we have breaking news part 2 that comes to us in the way of Eurogamer.
Actually, I dropped the Xbox Wire post in there for you too.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so Xbox Wire did this as well, folks. This is just bananas. Like another Monday, and Xbox Wire drops 2 bombs. We have it on confirmed authority from both Eurogamer and Xbox Wire. Thank you so much for that. That as of today, 5 games from Bethesda, all freshly available on Xbox Game Pass, just got an FPS boost, meaning that each of these games have now been moved from 30 FPS to 60 FPS. And the games include Dishonored Definitive Edition, which I actually just started playing again. Prey, which I just started playing again. Fallout 76, Fallout 4, and the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Special Edition. And once again, I have to say, as we cross 600 people, my God, can the news get any better? Mav, I'll go to you first. Holy shit is all I have.
Hold on, Boom. I'm trying to clear space on my hard drive now. I got 5 games to install. I'm serious. I'm going through my Xbox library trying to figure out what I'm going to delete, but it's just too much. Just too much good stuff. Holy crap.
I mean, hey, can I point something out? Like,
please.
I think that we really need the xCloud on console to be working at this point, because there's so many games, like you're going to spend forever just downloading them. Like that was a whole thing. Like my weekend was like trying new games, downloading new ones. And I have not 1, but 2 external cards, and I'm running out of space still with all of these. I'm not even joking. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's a real challenge.
First of all, these are all monster-sized games, Mav, right? So you're gonna have to pick one. Like, I didn't play through Prey. I started it, didn't play through it. Oh my God, lost my chain of thought here. Dishonored, when it originally released, I ran through that game. I absolutely loved it. I started the Definitive Edition, didn't play through it. Elder Scrolls V, 300 hours into that game. No questions asked, but didn't play the Skyrim Special Edition. Fallout 4, well over 300 hours. I'm not probably going to go back to that. And Fallout 76, not for me personally, but it's there for anyone that's interested. Where do you start, Mav?
I am probably going to start with Prey, because that's the one that I have played the least of. Okay. Out of all these, I have already actually installed that one. I was excited because when I saw that, I started it several times. I can't wait, dude. It's just crazy on console to be able now to play these old games through no work from the developers at 60 FPS. These open world games like Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Skyrim. Like, it gives me another excuse to go back and play Skyrim again. You know what I mean? It's just like, it keeps getting better. I feel like a kid that is like, his dreams have come true in the land of console goodness. I don't know. It's just like, what else can happen? Yeah, I don't know, man. This is crazy, dude. Freaking amazing.
What else can happen is they got those the headset drops on Wednesday.
Yes, have y'all seen the reviews for the freaking headset? The Verge called it a mic drop moment for Xbox.
I was just about to quote that.
Yeah, dude. You know what? We're gonna be talking about it on the Xbox too. I just got my confirmation from the Microsoft Store that the money is taken out. I got a tracking number, and that means that yes,
me too.
I am so freaking excited, man. Oh my God! I mean, like, again, the news just doesn't stop. It is insane. Pong So, let's get your opinion on this. I mean, what more could anyone really say? If you talk about, I mean, talk about shoving Bethesda down your throat, up your nose, or up your you know what. You got news on Thursday of the roundtable. Got Friday news that 20 games drop. Monday, you get 5 games that get double FPS, making them basically brand new games. I mean, my God, has Microsoft gone just insane?
Well, first of all, hey, Mav, you remember how we were talking that I don't have an external hard drive and I've never owned one? Yeah, that's about to change, buddy.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. Man.
We were just having that conversation a couple of nights ago. Anyways, yeah, boom. Like I've said on a lot of shows, starting this year, Microsoft, I really believe, pivoted to 2021 once Halo got delayed for the year. So I had a inkling, reading the tea leaves, whatever you want to call it, that this year, it was already going to be a big year, but I think that they truly just, as soon as Halo got delayed, Phil and his team said, you know what? Holiday 2021 is the key mark. And that's when this generation really starts. And, we've heard him actually mention it before that holiday 2021 was going to be the point of when they wanted to be firing on all cylinders because the hardware is going to be available. Hopefully, again, we don't know. There's still a lot of dominoes between here and there, but the Bethesda deal was the first domino. And I also said that, believing that this year is going to be full of hype and they're going to keep this hype train just rolling right along. And I think this was what they wanted to have happened at this point. And so I think we're going to start seeing this on a semi-regular basis. I'm certainly not going to sit here and say every Monday is going to be like this, by no means. But I definitely think they have a plan. And I definitely think that the plan is to start taking back, which they've already done, but they're going to start grabbing more and more mind share. They want to keep Xbox in everybody's head. They want to have these headlines on a semi-regular basis so that the community starts getting the word out like, oh my gosh, you won't believe what Xbox is dropping now. Oh my God, you won't believe what's in Game Pass now. Holy cow, did you see all these FPS boost games that are coming out? This is crazy. I'm playing Prey or Skyrim again, and it's absolutely gorgeous. This is what they want, man. And for them to turn around this quick after doing, like you said, boom, 20 game drop, announce the Bethesda deal official, make it concrete and clear about exclusivity, then drop 20 games in the Game Pass. Even if they are old games, they are beloved franchises and a lot of franchises that people did not get to experience for whatever reason this past generation, like Prey. And then the following Monday to announce Outriders coming in the Game Pass day and date. And, oh, by the way, all that list of games we told you about that's going to get FPS boost. Yeah, we did that over the weekend. How about that? How about that for you? Okay. I mean, like King David always says, who did that for you? Okay. This is what we're getting into, and it's going to continue, I believe, to just the hype. They're going to build it and build it and build it. And then, like you said, if all the dominoes fall correctly, like we've talked about many, many times, this fall and holiday season with, AAA, huge titles coming in, exclusive. My God, look out.
You said something really intelligent there for a second. I mean, you most of the stuff.
Just for a second.
No. Certainly, I was going to say, most of the stuff that comes out of your mouth is so well thought out and well planned. It seems like it's like you have a computer brain. Mindshare is something that Microsoft has found in the last couple of years very, very difficult to acquire. Because people always think of Microsoft and they think of Halo, they think of Gears, and they think of Forza, but that's all they can think of. And now the mind share that you're talking about has moved to Xbox Game Pass. And you know what's crazy? That's what they want. See, they don't want you to equate Xbox as the dude bro shooter box, right? They want you to think of Xbox, the platform, as the place for Xbox Game Pass. And I think what they're going to do, and again, this is just a very small prediction from me. I think that fall 2021, not only are they going to have those 3 big AAA bangers, but I think they dropped the Series S to $250 and they put the screws to Sony, because at that point, for $250, you're getting PC parts that if you spend $700 couldn't put a PC together that does what the Series S does. That is going to be all of the folks who own a PlayStation 5 that, again, can no longer look away from what's going on at Xbox Game Pass, because Sony did something really sneaky last fall. They dropped a megaton that their games were $70 and people were pissed, but not pissed enough for Sony to make any changes. And I think people have gotten so used to just doing what Sony says that they should do that they didn't make a big enough stink. Whereas Microsoft, again, perfect example, Outriders $77 on the PlayStation 5, $0 or $15 a month if you decide to sign up for Xbox Game Pass, or $10 for just the PC version of Game Pass. So I mean, it's pretty incredible. Now I want to get the Mojo Blues, but before I do, I want to just grab some of these super chats that have come in as we cross 650 people here. My God, this is incredible. JD Gamer, a generous friend of the show, he drops not 1 but 2 super chats. The first one of $5 says, "What if Square is the next Bethesda level acquisition? We know Sony likes to lock down games while Microsoft likes to lock down whole publishers. Hashtag the Book of X." Indeed, that would be ridiculous. His second super chat for $2 says, "If Microsoft gets Square, then the RPG king worldwide." Well, I think they were already the RPG king, simply because of what we're going to talk about in the last topic of the show, and that is how they've cornered the Western RPG market, which is what this show was supposed to be about. And Safe Space Invader drops a $2 super chat and says, "Xbox wireless headset getting rave reviews. Woo!" And yes, we're going to be talking about that tomorrow on the Xbox One-on-One with Zemi Games. And Pong Soul, you'll be joining us again tomorrow to give us your opinion about that. But Mojo Blues, what do you think is going on right now with this? Yeah, I mean, again, if you go in succession, Thursday we get the Xbox One-on-One roundtable. Right, we get them, and really, what it felt like to me was a hangout session. Like everyone was, even Phil. Like normally, Phil's up there and his chest is out and he's doing his thing. He was chilling in his leather jacket, lounged back. It just seemed like they were just palling around. Then Friday we get the bomb of 20 games in Game Pass, and that wasn't the first time this month that we got games. And now Monday, of course, we get the Outriders information, and now we get the FPS boost for 5 of their biggest titles. It seemed like they were working on this for a while, and Mindset has officially gone to Xbox only. What are your thoughts on these older games getting new life with double the FPS?
Well, I mentioned earlier about Prey being a top 5 game in the previous gen, and it's and getting that FPS boost. Let me tell you, as an old guy, I needed it. You walk into a room in there, and a table or a chair turns into a monster. I was always a little slow in moving out of the way. I needed this FPS boost, so I'm happy that silky smoothness is going to be. Now, not that it wasn't already smooth. That was a great playing game. That's what's amazing. These games all played great the way they were. Now they play better. And I think the stacking of news and the way things are going, I think they see that 30 million subscribers kind of sitting out there, and it's a race to hit that number. There's always those milestones, and they need that. They need that milestone. Going from 18 to 20 is not really nothing. It's that 30 million. And then it's going to be 50 million. And then 100 million, and that's when everything's completely different beast at that point. But and I don't think the competitors can actually you can't just immediately we're going to do it too, and then we'll have 100 million. because you have to make that. Well, you're selling your games at $70, and all of a sudden you're not getting. You're basically giving the games away.
Yeah.
In your service, that takes the kind of commitment, the kind of bankroll that I just don't know that the competition has. So I don't know that you're going to see that. I think what they're doing is fine right now, and I love competition. It's made Sony make their PlayStation service so much better. I mean, it was like flipping the switch, going from the PS4 to now with the PS5 on what you get with their service. I'm not knocking it in any way, but as you've talked a lot, Boom, about you being retired and, fixed income, and you spend your money, you pick and choose what you do.
Yeah.
Well, I'm now in that same situation. I haven't worked in a year, and I'm probably never going to work again. I'm medically whatever. And I'm not no sympathy. I do okay. I'm retired from the Air Force. I get a decent retirement check, but I'm not getting any Social Security money or anything like that yet. I'm old, but I'm not that old. But here's the thing: Game Pass. Wow, it's been amazing. I get all these great games and old games, and I love old games. And I've just been playing. Wow, it's a weird old game that's like a new game that's in Game Pass called The Messenger. I don't know if people play stuff like that. It's kind of like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a ninja game. It's just amazing. And
yeah, it's almost like Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, exactly
I
what it
play this
is.
fantastic game. Launched into Game Pass day and date, by the way.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I wouldn't have been able to drop $30, $40 on that or whatever it would have cost, or I wouldn't be able to. There's certain things. And I haven't dropped the money for the 5 yet, but I'll get a PS5 when the timing's right. But that same service is still available for the PS4. So I'm getting to play stuff that I hadn't even bought yet because I was buying just physical on the PS4 back during that generation, and that was great. It worked out for me. But now they put a ton of stuff in there. Why? Because Microsoft forced their hand out. Competition.
Yeah.
And the better Microsoft does with Game Pass and how they're doing, it's going to force Sony to do better. So it's win-win. And I just love seeing stuff like this, especially when you get announcements stacked like this, one on top of the other, over a week and a half period. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to piggyback off what Mojo was saying.
Yeah. Jump on in.
You are 100% right. And when you see us rooting, for Xbox and praising these things, a lot of it, at least for me, I will say has to do with that level of competition, right? Because right now, people will have to compete for our dollars, right? So the better that Microsoft makes Game Pass, the better of a value Sony will have to make PlayStation Now. And we only win from those things, right? Like we're all playing all of these things, but this forces Sony to sort of have to provide something, and we've seen it every month. We're seeing like these bigger and bigger games just being added to PlayStation Plus, right? And it's a beautiful thing to see, and it's a win because we get to try out a lot of these games. If these 18 or 20 games didn't come to Game Pass this weekend, I probably never would have played a lot of them that I played, right? I probably would have played a Prey 2 or a Dishonored 3 because it would be new. But after I missed it. Now, you know what I mean? I'll go back and play those, and then you'll have the FPS boost to make it sort of up to today's standards. And it feels like everybody wins here. And I don't know if you smell it, because I smell it. I smell 360 vibes.
Yes, that's a great.
Yeah.
That's a great point. You're not the first person to say that, dude.
The competition is back, Everborn. The competition is on. They're re-engaged, like you said. The 360 era was competition, and we're back there again. You were absolutely correct.
But you know what the difference is this time?
Yeah.
It's not all third-party and second-party deals.
Correct.
Most of these things that we're going to see are going to be sort of controlled by the platform holder, which means you don't have to cry about sequels. A lot of people say, oh, Microsoft doesn't do sequels or Xbox doesn't do sequels. A lot of the time it's not their fault. And this is the one thing, and again, I'm still saving the fire tonight, but I'll give you a preview of what I'm going to talk about tonight. Sony right now, they have an amazing first party studio lineup, although I think there's a Push Square article that we should all look at that just talks about what those studios are doing right now. Like I think they have like 13 studios. How many of them are the ones that we care about, right? But they are heavily reliant on second party deals or third party timed exclusives. The 360 did that, and it was great. But what happens when you are not the market leader? When you do deals like that, right? And we saw that we never got a Rise 2, we never got a Quantum Break 2, we never got what's the game from Insomniac? That was
Sunset Overdrive.
Sunset Overdrive. We didn't get a lot of those sequels, Alan Wake, because what happens is when you do a deal and you pay for a game and then it's a hit and it gets popular, the developer you work with is not going to make a sequel unless you give them a lot more money, right? Because then you need it more than they do, and they know that, right? So when you actually own the IP, you can make a sequel in the same way that you couldn't before, right? And now when there is a new IP that comes out, I know like Outriders doesn't fall into this, but I'm just saying like the beauty here is that with 23 studios, 35 teams, I think we'll see a lot of the sequels we've always wanted to see, and it is glorious. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Again, Mojo, you want to finish up your point, and we're actually going to bring.
I know my point was pretty much done, but just to kind of tag on to what Everborn was saying there, yeah, that was a bad model during the Xbox One generation. It fell apart for them where it worked during the 360. You could just go out and buy whatever game, but they found out even during the 360 generation they had to form new companies to keep games going, to keep IPs going and stuff, but all that's way behind them now. They own all these studios, and even with Sony has much fewer studios, but they're branching out in teams. And right now they are doing third party and exclusive deals, but eventually, once they've sold enough consoles, and this is all this is about, once they get enough PS5s on the market, you're going to see big bangers come out, 2 to 3 a year on Sony, and they're going to be rolling like a steamroller. Microsoft's going to be killing it with Game Pass with 23 studios and 35 teams. You're going to get 4, 5, maybe even 6 big games a year. Yeah. Some they might have some double A's in there here and there, but great. I love that kind of game personally. And Nintendo's Nintendo. They got nothing to worry about. They're about to come out with a Switch mid-gen thing that'll be that everybody's going to have to buy. So it's
going to sell more than everybody.
Gaming is in the best state it's ever been, and it's only going to get better. And here's the thing: Microsoft can win and be successful, and it will not kill Sony. They don't have to go away. Sony did not kill Microsoft when the PS4 sold 110 million and Microsoft sold 50 million. Okay, it just made Microsoft hungrier and want to do better, and they're doing better now. And it's going to make Sony do the same thing. This is all amazing stuff.
And Mojo, you are spot on, because I've been beating this drum for a little while, and I mean I think people are starting to see this. Here's the thing. Nintendo has been so successful because they make games that only they can make. Only Nintendo can make a Breath of the Wild or a Mario Odyssey or any of the games that we've come to love them for, right? Only Nintendo can do that. And only Sony can make the kind of sort of third-person story-driven games that they make. They are uniquely suited to do that. And now I think with what happened in the Xbox One generation, we can talk about all the background stuff, but outside looking in, it looked like they were struggling to find an identity, and it seems like they've found it now. And if Sony is the home of genre-defining sort of third-person story-driven games, maybe now we see that Microsoft is the home of the genre-defining Western RPG, and for that matter, maybe the first-person shooter as well, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
And bring it right back around into the main topic.
Perfect
look,
transition.
I'm going to say this: as we, again, we had as much as 650 people here, which is bananas.
Amazing.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this pop-up edition of course, the Xbox one-on-one programming that's normally on Tuesdays, but again, today was a day that we had to celebrate. We could not be denied. Originally, it was going to be simply about one topic. We wound up getting three. John B., generous friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "Thank you for your service, Mojo. I did 4 years in the Air Force." Oh, thank you for your service, brother. Definitely appreciate that, Mojo.
I did 24, so
wow, that was 24. Yeah, that's why you got your pension, because you did what you had to do.
Oh yeah,
serving this country. So we thank you for your service. But folks, I wanna transition or segue, if you will, into the main crux of today's conversation. And obviously, it's easy to get lost in the lights of 23 studios and 35 developers, teams making games for Xbox. But and I think many people in the industry, many people in the community have failed to, or I believe that has been lost in translation, is how Microsoft quietly and secretly have cornered the Western RPG market. Now, again, obviously, this was meant to be the one topic of the show, and I'm glad that it's not. As a matter of fact, we're going to be here a little bit longer than I thought, and that's fine. But I think that when you talk about Obsidian Entertainment, when you talk about Bethesda, and when you talk about InXile, I think that you have to take a step back and say that Microsoft has literally changed the game in regards to Western RPGs. The Xbox brand, as we've heard, and I've just said it moments ago, has been always known as the dude shooter box, right? Like, the first-person shooters, and it's the dude bro box, right? Because of Gears and because of Halo and many, many other first-person shooters that have come across Microsoft's doorstep. But I think that this, moving forward, it's no longer going to be known for that. I think that the Western RPG is a market that not only is ripe for the picking, but Microsoft owns basically everyone that has made incredible games, and not just good games, not just great games, but games that define generations. So let's just take a step back here for a second and talk about Obsidian, right? Right now they're working on Avowed, and of course rumored to be working on Fallout New Vegas 2, right? Holy shit, if that's the only 2 games you get from that studio, but we know that there's more to come. Take, for instance, Bethesda, right? We just talked about them on some of the original first-person shooters that we've seen, like Prey and Dishonored. Those are not really open world, but you talk about Western RPGs, immediately Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5 have to be brought into the conversation. And let's not forget that InXile, makers of Pillars of Eternity and Wasteland, have a third-person AAA open-world RPG that's been unnamed, but they have confirmed to be working on. And when you when you stack all of those Western RPGs together, what you have is a tsunami of incredible greatness that's going to be dropping in the next couple of years. I mean, from years 2 to 10, you're going to have more RPGs than you know what to do with. I'll start with Mav on this. Mav, what are your thoughts on Microsoft quietly cornering the Western RPG market?
It seems like maybe it was planned. That I don't know. I mean, it kind of seems that way, right? Like, if you're really looking to show your strengths, right? You already got the FPS down. You got that market. You got now with this deal that with Bethesda and getting those guys, you also actually strengthened your FPS as well. So with getting the guys from Doom and Wolfenstein and all those, but you're talking about not just with RPGs, not just landmark games for the future, but you're talking about getting the developers that created what we know of as Western RPGs, right? I mean, these are like the forefathers of the genre. So yeah, they're cornering the market here. I mean, and those ties go back between Obsidian, between Bethesda, between InXile, back to the Interplay days, right? Those studios, InXile and Obsidian, were part of Interplay before the founders left and formed those studios. They made Fallout. They made Baldur's Gate. They made these huge franchises. Bethesda took over Fallout, right? They're all connected, and they're all now together. These guys all know each other. They were already family. They're already friends. And they're going to be making new, huge worlds on Xbox that you're not going to get anywhere else. And I mean, you're talking about Todd Howard, who's making Starfield, and he's going to be behind the next Elder Scrolls game. I mean, these are the biggest Western RPGs that there are, right? These are what we think of when we think of Western RPGs. That Fallout and Elder Scrolls. That's it. You know, that's everybody's benchmark. That's the goals that people strive for. And Xbox has it. And they not only have it, but they have it on Game Pass. So, you know, it's not only strengthening Xbox's portfolio for Game Pass, but it's also keeping it away from other platforms, right? Unless they get Game Pass. As Phil Spencer said, we are investing in acquisitions like this to have games for platforms where Game Pass exists.
Yep.
So, you know, if you want to play a huge, massive Western RPGs made by the creators of the genre, you're going to need to play them on a platform in which Game Pass exists.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty interesting. And again, you know, one of the big topics for tonight's primetime gaming is whether or not Jim Ryan is in crisis mode currently because of the Bethesda deal. But more importantly, will he be willing to bend the knee and have Xbox Game Pass on PlayStation? My answer is going to surprise you. I'm not going to answer it because we have a big show for tonight. This was meant to be a smaller, a show that turned out to be just as big as one tonight. But Pong Soul, let's get your opinion on this. Again, we all, and I say all of us, get enamored by saying 23 first-party studios, and we do that because right now, if you take the big three, of course, Sony's PlayStation, Nintendo's Switch, and of course Xbox. They are the lead dog in this race with first-party developers. Sony has great ones. Yes, Nintendo has great ones. But if you look at the incredible amount of talent that has been stacked and continues to leave Sony developers and come over to work on game, developers like the Initiative, they seem to be snatching up talent left and right. It is pretty incredible. When you say that, the Xbox platform is going to house the next Elder Scrolls, the next Fallout, potentially 2 Fallouts, InXile's AAA RPG. It is a deck that is stacked, especially if you like open world RPGs, and many of us do. What are your thoughts on this?
So there's a couple different things here. Obviously, this is one of the benefits of having a person like Phil, who is a gamer, in a position of power. There are benefits to having a businessman like Jim Ryan, who I'm sure he games a little bit, maybe, but somebody who is truly a gamer. Phil looks at the landscape and he understands from a gamer's point of view of what people are looking to play. And so when he looked at the portfolio that Microsoft had, and when he started, or Xbox, I should say, had, I always combine the two because it is, still one entity. But when you look at what Xbox had and what they were missing and what it would take to build a service-based platform like Game Pass, he knew specifically what he had to go out and get. And he's been filling holes piece by piece. And it also goes to the fact that obviously Phil himself is a huge RPG lover. We also know that Jason Ronald loves open world RPGs. They've got a team that understands the importance of having these types of games within your ecosystem and what it means to the gamers. So I think outside of games as a service, MMO, right? What is your next big genre that drives engagement, which is already is a key metric, obviously, going forward when you're talking about Game Pass. So that would be Western RPGs or RPGs in general. More people put more hours into that style of game than any other. So what they've done is they've gone out and they've accumulated a wealth of talent that is based on that genre. They have some of the best in-house teams now, first-party teams that know how to world build, how to keep players engaged throughout, hundreds of hours of gameplay. And that's what they've done now. So you see this growing talent pool that specializes in a genre. Sony has their specialized talent pool. They do third person over the shoulder story driven games. They're very good at narratives. Most of those games, for the average player, you're going to get 20 to 40 hours of gameplay out of it. When you're talking about Western RPGs, when you're talking about a Skyrim, me personally, I think I put into Skyrim somewhere between 300 and 400 hours. Okay, you're talking about these large games that, if they are done well, keep people coming back for more and more and more. And that's exactly what they're looking for. It is incredible from an RPG lover that they have gone out and done this. There are a few devs still out there that are third party, the CD Projekt Reds, maybe BioWare. We'll see if they can make a comeback with the next Dragon Age. Obviously the name is there and the lineage is there. However, we don't know, they've had some stumbles, so we don't know where they're at. Outside of those two, and you could probably throw Rockstar in there, Grand Theft Auto is a RPG in a way. But outside of those few, everything is in Microsoft's in-house now. They have it all underneath their roof. And what we're going to see come out of these studios, like you alluded to, Boom, now that they all can work together again, and obviously the bad blood between Obsidian and Bethesda is water on the bridge at this point. Yeah. They are now back to being family. Okay. And I'm sure whatever was there has been squashed and worked out. We're going to see these, and again, like you said, in Exile too, we're going to see these people, some of the top creative minds, like Mav was talking about. They brought in some of the original founders of the Western RPG genre, are now underneath one roof. They're going to be able to get together, bounce ideas off each other, maybe even collaborate on projects. And we are going to see worlds that we never thought we were going to see. And we're also going to see the continuation of worlds that are beloved by people and that draw people in. And when I think it's not going to take very long, 2-3 years, when we see Avowed, when we see the next Elder Scrolls, etc., come out, maybe even Starfield will start it. I mean, this is Todd Howard. I'm a Todd Howard stan. This is original IP. If that hits the way that his other stuff has hit, we're talking about people are going to be forced to, when they go, hey, I love RPGs, they're going to be forced to say, I need to go ahead and get an Xbox, or I need to go ahead and get Game Pass wherever I'm going to play it at, whether it's PC or, if I'm cool with playing on my mobile phone, whatever. I need to get over there because that's where I want to be and I want to experience these worlds. It is awesome. And this is an incredible time to be a gamer, to see something like this formed underneath one roof. It really is.
Yeah, it's pretty epic. And real quick, RA89 actually drops not only an incredible $2 super chat, thank you for your generosity, drops an incredible a piece of thought nugget, if you will. Let's not forget Playground with Fable. I mean,
Yeah, you can't.
Hello,
You can't.
yeah.
or in exile.
Yeah,
They're in there, brother. We're gonna get to you in a second. I'm gonna pitch you something I want you to run with, but I'm gonna get Mojo's opinion first. Demon Incorporated drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Do you guys think Indiana Jones will be an RPG?" No, I don't think it will. I think it's going to be on the lines. Again, this is just my personal speculation that it's going to be something similar to Uncharted. It may have RPG-esque elements, but I think it's going to be a third-person narrative-driven type of title. And again, we don't know if that's one of those games that were contracted, to come to PS5 in the future. We don't know if Microsoft will go back to the, Disney and say, hey, listen, how much more black bags do we have to drop off to make this an exclusive? We don't know because they're not talking about it, but we know Machine Games is working on it. They're very early in development. So I can't see that game coming up for another 3 years, but it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be definitely an Uncharted or Tomb Raider-esque type of game. Juice drops a $5 super chat here, and he says this: I think the main reason Microsoft bought ZeniMax is so Tencent can't. I mean, that's actually a well thought out. I mean, I think that they were concerned whether it was going to be Tencent or even Google or Amazon, and I think that's why they jumped into action. But again, this is probably something that's been in talks for many years. We just found out about it on September 21st, and then we got the confirmation last Thursday. But Mojo Blues, let's get your opinion on this. When you talk about Western RPGs, it's easy to equate any of the best ones to the games that we just talked about before. It makes me even more excited as an Xbox Game Pass subscriber that on top of the Western RPGs market that they've cornered, Phil seems to not be done. That he's going into Japan and he wants JRPGs on top of that. And I think we're going to get some announcements later this year on what is coming. But for you, how big of a deal is it to get all of these Western RPGs under one umbrella?
No, it's beyond massive, Boom. I mean, in mine and your days, what you had, whether it was a JRPG or it was an action JRPG, there was nothing else. And these companies that are all together now, they all got their start. They looked at stuff like the original Zelda, and they're like, we don't have to do turn-based. You can have an action game. And we can put things in it, and it just blew up exponentially. And these were these huge PC games, and then some of them made it to console, some didn't. Then eventually they all became console staples. And then now to have them all under the one roof. And if people, Wasteland 3, I get it. The early Wasteland games were zero budget and PC only, basically. Give that thing a try. If y'all want to see what a great RPG is, that wasn't a AAA game. They got a little bit of money from Microsoft at the tail end, but that is a superb game. And now the sky's the limit. They're going to get full AAA money to do whatever they want in that kind of game. It's just amazing. And their imagination is their only limit now.
Yeah, no, I absolutely.
These companies couldn't do what they wanted. Even under Bethesda, which was owned by ZeniMax, which didn't they originally have ties to Facebook or something? I don't know, but everybody thought that was a filthy rich gaming company that could do anything. And the truth was they couldn't. Even they were limited on what sort of thing they could do. And they've had a couple of missteps, and they were like, they needed this. And it's so important for developers to be able to just make a great game. And sometimes they don't. And then when they don't, they fix it. And once they get it right, and everything's great. So again, to have this many under one umbrella that can share things. Hey, we're doing this in their game, but we can't get it to, this isn't working right. What can we do?
Yeah.
It'll be some amazing stuff.
Yeah, it's the teams working together like they really pushed that during the event on Thursday, the roundtable, how one developer will reach out to another. or and lend a hand. I mean, we saw that, and again, we have confirmation because it was in their LinkedIn. We know people from the coalition went over and helped out 343 Industries with Halo Infinite. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
That is a big deal. But Everborn, I want to pitch you something here, and I think you're going to run with it. You're definitely going to score a touchdown on this, right? So here we go. You take one of the games that Phil said when he mentioned the word legacy, right? You say, well, what the hell is he talking about? Legacy meant games that are currently already being supported on PlayStation, meaning like, let's say, Elder Scrolls Online, right? And we know that that's getting, it just recently got an update. They're going to continue to support it. But at some point, Everborn, when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out and it's only available on Xbox Game Pass PC and Xbox Series X and S, people that are invested in that Western RPG are going to have to look towards Microsoft and say, you know what? I'm going home, because they PlayStation, as great as it is as much fun as I'm having with Elder Scrolls, and as much as they're supporting it, they're not getting Elder Scrolls 6. And I think that's where you're going to see a lot of transition. But for you, how big of a deal is it Microsoft cornering the Western RPG market to move gamers just like that over to the Xbox ecosystem?
Well, first of all, I don't know if you got the memo, but all those PlayStation guys have $3,000 PCs.
Yeah, I did get that, and it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. So it might not move the needle much in terms of console adoption. That said, no, I mean, listen, here's the thing. There's not a lot of developers left that have the ability to do what Microsoft will have the ability to do here in the Western RPG space, right? And the funny thing is, the ones that are on the left might still be on the table to be acquired. Let's be like 100% clear about that. Now, the thing is, this is what I've always wanted from Xbox. I wanted them to have something that they are known for, and this is the way to do it. And again, I'm not like all for, because I do have thoughts and concerns about the consolidation of the gaming industry, and we know that it's going to happen, but I'm not normally in the business of welcoming our overlords with open arms. That said, I think the Bethesda Xbox deal was a very good fit, right? In that they had such a close relationship. It almost feels organic. Every time I've seen that Bethesda games released on other consoles, it's just like, it always felt weird, right? So I think that, I think we're going to see genre defining things where the whole industry is now put on notice whenever there's a Western RPG. There's a way that Halo used to define the first person shooter, at least in the console space, right? When Halo 2 and Halo 3 released, everyone had to stop what they were doing. Everyone paid attention, and you had all these games come out that were allegedly supposed to be Halo killers, right? And once you start hearing this is the X killer, you're the top dog. And I think that when we see Fallout, when we see Fable, when we see Avowed, people are going to start sort of making competitors to see if they can compete with that, right? How you hear Destiny killer left and right, but nothing ever is?
Yeah.
That is because I think that in the console space, Destiny is the sort of top dog as game as a service kind of. I mean, there's Fortnite, but I don't want to discredit what Epic has done there, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So all that being said, I just want to push back on Pong for a moment. I don't want all of these games to be 80 hours, right? Because there's so many of them my backlog is getting worse and worse as they add these games to the service. If I'm playing 80 hours on a single game, and then they're releasing games every it seems like every month, what am I going to do, right? So I like the idea of smaller games if possible, even episodic content, right? Imagine if you had a game where every month there was a new episode, right? Of sort of story-driven things, and you can do that with a service like Game Pass. So all that being said, Nintendo, I'm going there for my Mario and my Zelda. Sony, I'm coming there for my sort of story-driven over-the-shoulder stuff. And now everyone has to come to Xbox for your Western RPGs and, let's be honest, your first-person shooters.
Yeah. Well, you can also add racers to that as well.
That too. And again, listen, Undead Labs, right? In Exile, right? Obsidian. And that's before we get to Rare's next game, which it seems like it's going to be an RPG.
Yeah, yeah.
Everwild, right?
Yes.
And then that's before we come to all the Bethesda stuff. It's insane, and what do you got?
Everboard. I was just gonna say, I don't want every game to be 80 hours either. I'm just saying at this point, can we just probably say that we have to all admit that there's just gonna be too many games? I mean, at this point, we're all gonna have to be picky and choosy when it comes to these.
No. It's really crazy because we joke like Xbox has too many games. That is actually a reality at this point.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
One cool thing though about that is like,
yeah,
you can't just dive in and check a game out and then really sink your teeth into the ones that stand out, right?
But Matt, that is why we need console streaming on the Xbox.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yes.
And that's coming.
XCloud, a console app.
They're updating those server blades, so it's definitely coming.
Yeah, and this is the other thing. Think about how this changes the industry, right?
Yeah.
So from a developer standpoint, you can just make a game, and again, we've seen this all with Netflix, right? There are certain things that will get greenlit on Netflix that would never have gotten greenlit by the sort of the movie industry, right? Look at Robert De Niro's The Irishman. Right? They never would have done that.
Nope.
Nominated for Oscars, right?
No.
Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver, Marriage Stories. They won a bunch of Oscars for that, right? What's his name? I don't know if it's Alfonso Calderón, but there was a movie. It was in black and white. It took place in Mexico. Can't remember the name of it, but they won the Oscar the year before, right? So we are seeing creators get to make their dream projects and audience taking chances on things they may not have gone to the theater to watch, right? And it's the same principle that we're seeing happening in the gaming industry. And you will have the old guard, which happened to be a Netflix movie, but you'll have the old guard that are used to the status quo and they benefit from the status quo, so they will cry like the sky is falling. But in reality, artists are now freed to make what they want, and audience are now with less pressure and more willing to consume said art. And that is what you want when you create art, for people to consume it, right? And so I think we're all winning. And again, I don't want to give away too much of the smoke and fire for tonight's show. The problem is you do not just walk into a market like this after it is already set. How many other streaming services have we seen that have tried this? Remember Quibi?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Of course.
Remember, CBS is trying to do something now. Even HBO Max, they have what looks super exciting, the Snyder Cut coming out, and the Matrix and all these other things. Their subscriber numbers are going nowhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So Disney was able to come in So, but Disney is hitting 100 million subscribers, but they had to come in at 1/3 the price of Netflix because no one would pay $10 and $15 a month, at least not yet.
And
Not yet.
everborn, the truth is, though, right now, nobody's paying for Disney Plus. Almost everybody gets it free. But
Right.
they're getting the content that when it comes time to pay for it, I know I'm going to let if my subscription becomes where I got to pay, I'm not getting rid of Disney. I mean, they're about to drop Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and they've got the content. So that's the thing. Xbox has that content, and you see it, all the studios and stuff. And just like these people trying to imitate Netflix, it's hard. And you're right. I'm upset about CBS All Access. I paid for that at one point, and it was kind of garbage. And now they're changing its name. Yeah, they're changing its name and trying to make it. Man, there's just so many of them. It's tough. And thank goodness Xbox or Microsoft or whoever you want to give credit for it seen the writing on the wall very early and jumped into this early enough and converted their the way they make money and how their business model, so to speak. They got on board with this early and realized content is king, and it's amazing.
Yeah. And Everborn too, to what you were talking about as far as creative freedom within what Netflix and services like that have done for creators. We've already heard Tim Schafer and Todd Howard now talk about that as well. It's important for these guys that they don't have to. Game Pass allows them to not worry necessarily so much about sales anymore or having deadlines and having all this pressure. And Xbox, now that they have these 23 studios, have taken all of that weight off of every single one of those teams' shoulders. And that's going to open up so many possibilities for these creative geniuses to go do what they do best, which is just make new experiences and new worlds and new art, as you put it, for us. And that is an amazing part of this.
And again, and it comes back to that whole $70 versus what's in a subscription, right? I cannot tell you how many movies that I would never have gone to the theater to watch, but because I could watch it from home, I gave it a chance, right? So when I go to the movies, I know how expensive it's becoming. I mean, no one can go to the movies right now, but I'm sure everybody understands the analogy I'm making here. Going to the movies for me had become, it needs to be a known IP for me to go and spend $100 or whatever to take my whole family out. Like, it needs to be like a Marvel or Lord of the Rings kind of movie for me to go and spend everything that it takes to just go to the movies. And I think as we see production budgets increase, right? Because you'll see Hollywood studios. I know this is not a Hollywood show, but the analogies are like, it's like 1-to-1, right? So you will see Hollywood studios that will no longer greenlight these sort of mid-budget $50 to $80 million action movie. They're either super low budget, artsy fartsy that don't cost a lot of money to make, or they're big franchise tentpole movies, and that's all they'll make, right? Because you either have to spend nothing on it, or it has to be a big established IP. So if you are interested in new IP and creative endeavors that are not just sort of games as a service thing, because that's the only thing that makes money, the subscription model is the way to go. And what I worry about for Sony, this is not like, oh, Sony, you're taking an L, but what I worry about is, in this new model, will Sony be able to match this, right? Because what we don't want is for Sony to come to this realization about sort of subscription services when it's too late, right? Because if Xbox is locking up all of these exclusive second-party deals to go in Game Pass, and they have 23 studios and 35 teams, and they're buying new publishers, at some point, Sony could be boxed in. And I hope that before that happens, they read the tea leaves, they see the writing on the wall, and they say, you know what, the next God of War, that needs to be in PlayStation Now or PlayStation Plus, and merge the two, right? Because I would have no problem paying for a PS. I wouldn't pay for it now, but I'd have no problem if Sony was doing day and date, paying for Game Pass and PS Now, and it would be well worth it.
No doubt about that for sure.
If
And
they
again,
wait too long, the market will be defined. We've seen this. The market can only really stand two major competitors in any given thing. It's weird that in gaming we have three, but really last gen it was two, right? It's becoming three now, but usually there's two and then one far last place. So streaming, what are we seeing play out? Really, all it is Netflix and now Disney Plus. In phones, we saw iOS and Android. Windows Phone tried to come in. WebOS tried to come in with those Palm phones. That didn't work, right? The market generally only has two major players, and I hope Sony sees it. That's all I'm saying.
Well, look, whether they read the tea leaves or not, we're going to be talking about that exact topic of whether or not they're currently and Jim talking about Jim Ryan personally and is in crisis mode over this deal. Obviously when they had talked to him at the end of the year, he said reluctantly, I don't even know if any of these games are coming to I'm just as interested as you to find out if any of these Bethesda games are coming to PlayStation. He knew then. He's a businessman. He understood exactly what Microsoft was doing. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think that Microsoft caught Sony snapping. There's no doubt about it. They have always been cocky for good reason. They've had some really incredible games. They've had some incredible numbers with their consoles sold. But I don't think that they looked at Microsoft as a threat. And now they do. Now they see that they woke the sleeping giant. And again,
forget about the sleeping giant. It's the tortoise and the hare.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's another great analogy. Yeah, Sony ran to the finish line, and of course, slow and steady got Microsoft where they are. And when you equate that to one of the last public outings or public interviews that Satya Nadella did, he was asked specifically if this is the last deal, and he said, "No, it's much. It's more beneficial for us to buy a developer than make one from scratch. And we are always on the lookout for adding additional talent to our, first party developers." That's a huge statement.
Hey, Rick, about that statement, I'm glad you brought that up because I always wanted to say something about that sort of made me scratch my head. Was that an indictment on the initiative? Right?
Maybe
you can't. You need to buy because we all know that they're building a studio that's supposed to be a quadruple A studio with the initiative. But if you say that, doesn't that say that's not really working? It's just a thought that was always in my head when he said it. I was like, that's a strange statement.
Well, you know what it is. I think when you talk about building, and you know what he may be talking about is getting games into the ecosystem that are playable now. And you can do that by buying developers that are currently working on something. You walk into the office, Phil Spencer sees said game, and he goes, "Holy shit, that looks like that's going to be a AAA banger," and that would that kind of type of title, whatever it was that he saw, could drive Game Pass sales, as opposed to, okay, we're gonna bring Drew Murray in, we're gonna have him start stacking the talent around him. And then he's going to then go off and do his thing. And he went back to, Insomniac. And obviously the initiative is still snagging in unbelievable amounts of talent. But maybe that's expensive. Maybe that's something they didn't, they saw the cost of the one studio. And they're like, something, as great as this studio is going to deliver on Perfect Dark, which I think is going to be a banger. And I cannot wait to play that. I think that they look at the overall picture and say, you know what, it's better to go get everything already in place. Oh, that game that you said was going to be a multi-plat, not anymore. We own you. So now that's going to be Xbox and PC only.
And furthermore, I think the thing that people, we all understand this, but I don't know that we really appreciate it, is that if you are going to build that kind of thing, it doesn't happen overnight. And a lot of the times it doesn't happen on their first outing.
That's
Right?
true. That's
So
true.
Listen, I'm super excited for Perfect Dark, but that's their first shot out of the gate. It may not be like this crazy, life-changing experience that we all want it to be, and that's okay. That team has to. They literally built it from scratch. They have to put sort of collaboration processes in place. They have to get it into a working groove with each other. So it's not only, okay, we got big name talent. It's we need to put this together and build this cohesive group that can do this over time. So it could be that their next game is the one that does it, or the one after that. So while I am optimistic and excited for what's the name of this?
Perfect
thing?
Dark.
Perfect Dark. I'm not gonna like throw everything out if it's not like life-changing, right? I want them to put something out, learn from that, and then perfect it on the next one, right?
Yeah.
So that all being said, I think that I'll save that point. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, well, you know what? Again, you're going to be back tonight, so what we're gonna do, folks. I just want to thank everybody. We had almost 700 people tune in to this pop-up Xbox one-on-one podcast. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Hopefully, you found the conversation exciting as we all did. Again, I was originally going to do this by myself, talk for an hour and go home, take my ball and go home. It turns out that I was able to gather a panel of very incredible and well-versed community members that dropped massive amounts of knowledge. I want to just read out some of the super chats that came in. JD Gamer drops an additional $5 super chat and says, speaking of Game Pass, Outriders isn't available on the PC version. This might be a return of console exclusives in a way on Xbox, #Xbox exclusives. That's pretty interesting. I didn't even know that. Thanks for the information. Reggie Mobile 9, another generous friend of the show, he says this after dropping a $5 super chat. Great show, Boom and family. Thank you, my brother. He says, I really look forward to Avowed, having played Pillars of Eternity. It's really amazing what Xbox has under its belt now. Indeed, it sure does. We also had a super chat come in from, let me see if I could find it. Here it is, from Reggie Mobile Now 9. He drops an additional and very generous $5 super chat and says, I think Xbox wants to eventually be kings of all genres, not just FPS and Western RPGs. Xbox really won't be competing with PlayStation at some point. I agree. I think that Sony is eventually going to be the one that they're going to have to look at what they're doing and realize that the 70. I mean, here's a perfect example of why a $70 for new IP will not work on Sony's console. Take, for instance, Housemarque's Returnal. I am very interested in that game. I love Housemarque. I think that they are one of Sony's best talents that they don't have exclusive. They should just buy them already and stop the shenanigans, but they haven't. That's a scary disposition for a team that's not that big. And I have a very, very strong suspicion that they are going to potentially be in some trouble, because Returnal is a $77 game with tax here in the US, even more in the EU. Our good friend Archimedes talks about that, where the US dollar conversion is $91 for a PlayStation 5 game. That is,
I give it a month before it's in PlayStation Now.
Maybe it'll be in PlayStation Now. Maybe it would be. I'm not
PlayStation Plus.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. And again, it just makes you wonder whether or not it's going to stay, because obviously that race car game that I thought was pretty cool dropped into PlayStation Plus and then came out, and they sold it for $20. They tried to rope people in, and the game is kind of DOA. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't like it. It's really for me. I quite enjoyed it. It was Twisted Metal meets Epic's game. My God, why am I brain farting over here? what's the game from Epic that everyone plays? The free to play.
Rocket League?
Yeah, no, the Fortnite.
Fortnite.
Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't think of that. It's Fortnite meets Twisted Metal. It's really cool. I really like it, but it kind of fell flat. And it was in PlayStation Plus, and they do things that are so weird at Sony. God of War came into PlayStation Plus, and then was PlayStation Now, and was taken out after 3 months. Like, that's a first-party game that should stay, but it doesn't. And I think they need to do some serious changes over there at Sony. I think what happened with Bethesda is going to force Jim Ryan into making some big changes over at PlayStation. But folks, this has been an incredible show. I hope that you enjoyed your, what is it now? Oh God, it is almost 2 hours. This was meant to be a 60-minute show, and of course it ballooned. Now, real quick before we get on out of here, both Mav and Pong Soul dropped some again more information about Xbox Game Pass. It says here, at long last, Undertale is coming to Xbox for the first time ever. Players on Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S will have their chance to experience one of the indie game's most beloved role-playing games when it launches into Xbox Game Pass tomorrow. And on top of that, which I know what Undertale is, wasn't my type of game, but I will certainly try it. Empire of Sin, which is basically Gears Tactics with the mob. And if you like those types of games, and I know a lot of people do, Zemi Games more specifically really enjoys those type of games, that's going into Xbox Game Pass tomorrow as well. So, Jesus. How much more can they put in there? I don't understand it. But let's get to the outros. We'll start with Pong Soul. Pong, obviously, you're going to be joining me and Zemi Games tomorrow on the Xbox One-on-One. We're going to be talking about some really big points. I've already started doing the advertising, and we're going to be talking about whether or not the ID Tech is actually the real exclusive for Xbox. When we know that there's going to be some ID Tech, obviously you saw Doom Eternal playing in the first half of this show. That kind of tech is going to be coming to some of Microsoft's first-party games. Hopefully we'll get a big turnout for that as well. Tell everyone where they can reach out to you and strike up a conversation, and more importantly, tell them what other podcasts you're on.
Absolutely, Boom. Tomorrow's going to be fantastic as well. Thank you so much for this invite. Mav, Mojo, Everborn, of course, always a pleasure to share the panel with you guys. Chat, guys were fantastic, rocking out nearly 700 people. All the lovely familiar names in there. Thank you all. We can't do this without you. You can find me at Pong Soul everywhere, Twitter, Xbox, it does not matter. I surpassed 600 followers last week. I'm on my way to 1,000, so let's do this, guys. I will follow you back, and we can have discussions about games. But otherwise, you can find me along with my brother from another, Mav, a.k.a. Fun Speculation, on Xbox Ultimate Podcast, Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, along with the incredible 3-Bit, the amazing Psychonauts, and, of course, never last ever in Mav's heart, but his beautiful wife, Caitlin. She is there as well. We have a great time on that show, like Boom and Mav talked about at the beginning of this, so please check us out. And then you can also find me on the Shop Podcast every Saturday night with PTK Blam, who just celebrated his 200th episode last weekend, along with Fuzzy Belvedere, Centurion, and Stagorilla. Another great short. Try to keep it at an hour, just a little bit over an hour. We get in and out of the topics. It's an awesome time. Check us out Saturday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Nice. Well, thanks so much for being here. Definitely appreciate that. And yes, big shout out to the Shop Podcast. Another smaller. Darren is an incredible human being. He is an incredible panel, producer of original content. And obviously the Shop Podcast has been around a while. I'd love to see people filter over to them and give them some subscribers to his channel. He does great work. And again, he is definitely a rising star in the content creation community. So reach out to him on Twitter. and go definitely subscribe to his channel. Check out, of course, the Shop Podcast. Look for that on YouTube. That is definitely worth your while. Again, a positive show that has great panel members and occasionally great guests. I've been there a couple times, and we are trying to get our schedules together so I can join his show one evening as well. Mav, obviously you talked about the Ultimate Xbox Podcast in the opening, and I'd love you to talk about it on the back end because we have almost 700 people here. You might get some new viewers, and I'd love to see you get some subscribers. Tell everyone about that incredible podcast, and more importantly, where could people reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media?
Yeah, boom. This was a lot of fun. Again, thanks for having me. You can check out me on Twitter at Fun Speculation. Also, the YouTube channel is Fun Speculation. Podcast, as Pong said, is called Xbox Ultimate, and it's on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. I would love to see you guys there. It's a newer channel. Started it back in July. And, just been learning and growing and doing different kinds of content for a while now. I stream quite a bit, so you can hang out on some of my streams on the channel. Yesterday, I just finished Far Cry 4 finally because of the FPS boost. I wanted to check it out, and dude, it was running so smooth. I had a blast playing that, so that makes me even more excited about all these other games. But, yeah, come check it out. We have a great time on Friday nights. We're approaching 500 subs for his channel we started in July, so I'm pretty happy with that and where the channel's going. We also have a new podcast we started to talk about Marvel and DC and movies and TV shows and all that kind of stuff, and it's called Fun Pop. Everborn, we're going to have as a guest on there probably in like 2 weeks, I think. If you're up for that, I'm going to reach out to you on DMs. And we're gonna have a blast on the channel. Yeah, 100%, man. We're gonna have a blast on that channel for years to come, I hope. And Pong, thanks for doing that with me, man. And thanks Mojo for being here today and talking games with us. And Everborn, you too, man. This was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you for being here, brother, and hopefully you see great success for your channel. Love to see you hit 1,000 subs. You can monetize that bad boy, and that is a big milestone for any content creator. Love to see the quality content get recognized. Again, if you are someone that subscribes to me and you appreciate the work that I do each and every week, you definitely will appreciate what Mav does on Fun Speculation. Head over there, tell him Mr. Boomstick sent you, and subscribe to his YouTube channel. Mojo Blues, brother, thank you so much for joining the conversation. Love hearing your older guy opinions, like myself, maybe not as old as me, but certainly
I'm older, bro.
Oh, then you there. Well, there you go. You're the old man in the room. I'm actually happy to say that. But thanks for joining us, brother. Definitely appreciate it. Tell everyone where they could reach out to you and strike up a conversation and what else.
Yeah, every Thursday I'm on Mads Gaming's Next Gen podcast. And we've been doing it for a couple of years. So me, him, and Jamie Moran, and we've added several other people so that we always have at least 3 people on there. But sometimes there's 5 or 6. Sometimes there's just 3. Just depends, how that goes from week to week. But we've been on a while. It's good stuff. Saturday nights, I do my own podcast. It's pretty small with a guy called Grey Wolf Gamer, also a.k.a. the Gaming Werewolf. He's an older gentleman. He's about Boom's age, give or take. So it's just 2 old guys talking games. A little bit different. I mean, we've had some 3-hour podcast. We did one last night, 3 hours and 5 minutes. Had like 10 views, but you know what? It's fun. And the few people that watch it actually have DM'd me and said, wow, we kind of love it because we talk about everything. I even for a while was calling it Everything But the Kitchen Sink podcast. But then one show we talked about kitchen sinks, and it was like, yeah, maybe we can't get that too far out of control. But I'm on Twitter, Mojo_Blues1. I'm always on there, wasting time on console war stuff, but mostly on YouTube and the podcast. I'm about any gaming system. I mean, I love I'm a retro guy too, but I play new stuff, old stuff. I play games, whatever they are, or wherever they are. And it's just been a joy to be here. So thanks, everyone.
Oh, thank you for being here, brother, and definitely appreciate what you bring to this community. Everborn Saga, why don't you tell everyone about what you got going on, how well your Kickstarter did, and where could they not only reach out to you, strike up a conversation on social media, but tell people about the Everborn Saga.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So everbornsaga.com is the first place to go. You can see we got a whole series of comic books plus really cool t-shirts and wall art. But more importantly, we have the Kickstarter running right now for the newest series in the Everborn Saga. So if you don't know what Everborn Saga is, it is 4 interconnected series, all following a different character, telling the story from their vantage point. If you are into manga, if you are into anime, if you are into sort of My Hero Academia, or you are into Berserk, that's what Prince of Arcadia and Ariel's Adventure are about. So the Kickstarter is going. It's been super successful. We hit our goal in the first 24 hours, but now we are aiming for stretch goals, and those stretch goals will allow us to release the first Everborn novel. It's a fantasy novel. It's about 200 to 220 pages. We need to get an editor then. We need to cover printing and shipping and things like that. So that's what the stretch goal is for. And you can check it out by going to everbornsaga.com and clicking the link right at the top of the page. I promise you will not be disappointed. We did a whole anime trailer so you can see what it's all about. And if you want to talk to me directly, you can just reach out to me at Everborn Saga on Twitter, and Everborn Saga on Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation Network. So everbornsaga.com, click the link at the top, check out the Kickstarter. I promise you will not be disappointed.
Yeah, and I could agree. I think that what you're doing over there is incredible. I'm glad to have been a part of helping you push your Kickstarter.
Thank you so much.
No, I mean, listen, it's literally, we talked about that before you even jumped in, about how smaller content creators, I think it's the right thing to do when you see something that you see someone going out of there and not pushing a hate narrative, and looking out there and the way that they handle themselves on within the community. It's great when we all team up together to push each other's content. I'd love to see more of it.
I always say this: light a candle instead of cursing the darkness.
There you go.
It helps no one. You just complain all the time about what you don't like. How about you turn the light on in the room and shine the things that you love, or fix the problems you're complaining about? If not, shut up. But anyway, I say the last thing I want to say, one other thing, this will only take 1 second, is another thing that is a sort of added bonus to the Bethesda acquisition is Pete Hines. We've seen Xbox marketing be on fire. And I think that they are going to handle probably all the marketing. They're going to work with Aaron Greenberg, and you're going to see a concise message that answers questions. We've seen the beginning of it, and there's going to be more of it, folks. We wanted marketing. That was one thing we all complained about for Xbox, and I think with Bethesda and Pete Hines there, that's going to happen. But anyway, please continue, and I'll see everybody later. And again, thank you, everybody. Everbornsaga.com.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for being here, brother, and I cannot wait. I mean, again, how many podcasts can you do in a week? Well, this week I have 5. If you have 5 live shows, and I'm still
Boom.
going. Yes, sir.
Hey, Boom.
Yes.
Before we get your outro, just to throw this out there for everybody that's still listening, Jason Ronald, 1 hour ago on Twitter, I just found his tweet, said, quote, new Xbox wireless headset, Outriders on Xbox Game Pass day 1, and 5 Bethesda games receiving FPS boost, and it's only 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Great time to be a gamer. So keep your eyes open, people.
Damn.
Yeah, you know what? That's great. And again, tonight, tune in tonight to Primetime Gaming. We're going to be posing some big Sony questions. Is Xbox Game Pass going to be forced onto Sony? Will they bend the knee? I say no, but you'll hear more of my opinion about that. And also, is Jim Ryan currently in crisis mode at Sony? And the answer is, I think he is. I think he doesn't know what to do with himself simply because of how much of a big deal this Bethesda acquisition was. Again, tune in tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, if you want more Xbox talk, you're going to get it 2 more times this week. I've already finished the shows for Tuesday's Xbox One-on-One and Thursday's Xbox Factor podcast. And I haven't even begun work on Friday morning's Breakfast with Boom. And I'm taking Wednesday off to A, go to the dentist, and B, come home and probably take a nap, because all of this work is tiresome for sure. But thank you so much for being here. I want to close out today's show with something that's important to me. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my father taught us when we were kids. And I think it's more important now than ever. And he used to say this: son, treat others how you want to be treated. Also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow on the newest episode of Xbox One-on-One.